Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this webinar today on COVID-19 Survival Panel for SMEs. Welcome to the people who are watching us live on Facebook. I hope you enjoy this presentation today. I'm very happy to welcome our two guest presenters today, Renee Shilton, Acting Regional Manager, North Queensland Oz Industry. How are you today, Renee?
I'm really well, thanks, Peter.
And we also have Kevin Thiel, Director, Working Better, who's also joining us today. How are you, Kevin?
Yeah, good, thanks, Peter.
That's very good. And I'm the host. I'm Managing Director of ESS Small Business. If you have any questions during the webinar, can you please type your question into your computer, and we will answer the questions later in the webinar. Or if you're watching on the live feed on Facebook and you'd like to ask a question, can you please send an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, and I will pass them on to the presenters and get the answers for you. And we'll record the questions and answers on the ESS Small Business website. Our first presenter today is Renee Shilton from Oz Industry, and Renee's going to give you an update on Australian government grants that are available for SMEs. So we're just going to pass across over to you now, Renee. Thanks.
Yep, that sounds fine.
You can.
As soon as you stop sharing, I'll share my screen.
I've got to go to the right one. Thanks, Renee.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're based around the country. I'm just sharing my screen, bear with me. Thanks very much, Peter, for having me along. I am going to be spending most of the time talking about the Entrepreneurs Program today. But before I do that, I thought I would touch on our website, business.gov.au, and call centre 13 28 46. Essentially, this is our go-to place for any information you need to help run your business, as well as the information about the grants and assistance that are currently available. So just bear with me. This is the website, business.gov.au. We do have a coronavirus specific page, so it's at the top under the yellow banner or halfway down the page. If you go through to this page, you will find the most up-to-date information on coronavirus announcements. So the announcements yesterday around the JobKeeper payment extension is here. Job trainer skills package information is also available, as well as other government information like the Victorian Government's business support package. So that's the first and primary spot if you're looking for grants and assistance with respect to coronavirus specifically. But we also have a grants and program finder. So with this, you can search now by putting in your postcode. So I live in Townsville, 4810. I can select my industry. I'm going to pretend I'm a manufacturer. And then I can select what sort of help I'm looking for. So today I would like to research and develop innovative or new products. And I'm a manufacturing business. Search now. We'll come up with results around the different grants available, both from the state government. So this is a state government grant and this is a Commonwealth grant. So I guess this is a one-stop shop for information on grants and funding from every level of government. And it's pretty easy to search and filter. Once there, you can click on the link and it will take you through to the page where it has a lot more information, including how to apply. So I just thought I'd run through that as the first portal that might be able to help you get in touch with the right information you're looking for. But I am here to talk about the Entrepreneurs Program, which is essentially a program to help small to medium businesses grow, innovate and commercialise. In response to COVID-19, the business.gov.au website also developed a business continuity guide, so it might be worth having a look at that as a source of information. That's available to all businesses in Australia. So the Entrepreneurs Program delivers advice and grants to enable high potential businesses to strengthen strengthen, innovate, and commercialise. We take a customer-led approach, so we respond to the needs of the businesses in the program. We don't tell them what to do. We listen to what are the issues they're facing and try and develop a solution service based on their issues today. The program is delivered in partnership with our delivery partners, different ones all around the country. So in Queensland, Deloitte is a delivery partner, but I know Australian Industry Group has the program in Victoria. So within the countrywide, I'll put you in touch with how to find your local delivery partner. And there are 140 facilitators spread across all states and territories. So you should be able to access the support available. This slide really talks about the key goals of the program, but essentially we just want a more competitive business space and ultimately a stronger national economy. So by helping businesses reach their potential, they're able to employ more people, export more products, be involved in more supply chains, and be a stronger business. This is a month or two old, but to date, we have helped over 15,000 businesses with tailored advice and provided over $302 million in grant funding. So the program's been around for a while and achieving great things for businesses. We did survey some of our customers and found that on average, created 5 new jobs and experienced an increase in turnover as a result of undergoing through the participating in the program and actioning a lot of the suggestions made to them. So what is the offer of the Entrepreneurs Program? We focus our attention across 4 main elements, and I'll explain each of these in detail shortly. I just want to touch base on strengthen, the final one on this slide. The strengthen element is new and it was developed in response to the bushfires nationally that happened at the end of last year and beginning of this year. We have facilitators based in a lot of the bushfire affected communities whose job is to really sit there and work with businesses and develop a plan to go forward. They are providing mentoring, they're providing a roadmap, they're really working with businesses to identify the long-term opportunities and overcome the challenges that bushfires has created, and I guess COVID is continuing to cause. It's at no cost to a business, so this is really there to help the bushfire communities recover. So the first element under the normal Entrepreneurs Program is for growth. This essentially has 3 elements, the first being the growth roadmap. So we have, as I said, facilitators around the countryside. We pay them so that they can help a business for free do a top to bottom analysis of their business. They review their strategy, review their operations, and really identify an action plan for the business to guide themselves, or a roadmap to guide themselves over the next 12 months. Then they provide mentoring as they go through that action plan. The second part is the High Growth Accelerator. So this is really for businesses with a clearly identified business growth opportunity. It's a deeper dive into the business, and it's really around developing the skills and knowledge and strategies and connections for those businesses to capitalise on this high growth opportunity. Projects and supply chain is changing, but right now we're really focused on helping businesses in supply chains improve their ability to interact with their supply chains. So improve their skills in meeting their contracts and helping them to really get to the bottom of why they would be a successful business in that supply chain. How do they improve their interactions with their clients and grow from there? Under all of these 3 elements, the advice is provided free of charge, but there is a $20,000 growth grant. So there are recommendations that the facilitator will provide, and that businesses in the program can access $20,000 in match funding to get some external advice or support to action these recommendations. The second part, Innovation Connections, is around matching a business working with the businesses to identify the business opportunities and their critical research areas. So we have facilitators again who work with the business and see that they've got an opportunity, and then they will identify within the research sector some experts to support these research projects. So these might be universities, CSIRO, state-based research organisations such as Department of Agriculture, or other publicly funded research organisations. So once a project has been determined, there are some grants of up to $50,000 for a researcher placement or business researcher placement, where you can place a researcher in a business to deliver a project, or a business can go and access the facilities and support in a research organisation to deliver a project. There's also $30,000 for a graduate placement, where a graduate can work on a research project for up to 12 months. So the eligibility for both of those, the growth and the innovation connections, is that you have to be a business, you have to have an ABN, you must be registered for GST, you must have at least 3 consecutive years of trading. In most of Australia, you need to earn between $1.5 million and $100 million at least once in the last 3 years. However, in Northern Australia, so from Rocky North, all of Northern Territory, and roughly from Carnarvon North in WA, this drops down to $750,000 minimum earn, and also in remote Australia. We also look at specific growth sectors. So you can see on the screen, we target customers into this program who are working in the advanced manufacturing sector, in food and agribusiness, mining equipment, technology and services, med tech and pharma, and oil and gas sectors. So businesses working in those sectors or providing enabling technologies to those sectors for this program. Business must also be either an incorporated company or an incorporated trustee applying on behalf of a trust. So important to look at the structure there. The third element is around commercialisation funding. This doesn't have the strict criteria of the first two. It's really around providing startups and entrepreneurs who have novel products, processes and services to commercialise their product. So it's around linking them in with some expert guidance and grants of up to $1 million to commercialise this novel product, process or service. In terms of eligibility, like I said, it's a bit less stringent. You just have to have the novel product, process or service and have access to the IP. You need to be a company and you need to turn over less than $20 million for each of the 3 preceding years. You also, in the merit criteria, this is a quite competitive program. So we have merit criteria that we look at before we fund the projects. We really look at strong market potential and the capability to commercialise the product. So we would hope that you would have a minimum viable product, that you've got a really clear understanding of who your market is and even have evidence to demonstrate that they want that product, and that you've either got within the company or advising the company some expertise around the commercialisation process. You've had experience running a business or you can access that experience. Outside of those 3 elements, we have specialist facilitators that can work across any of the businesses, provide expertise for disruption opportunities and to address key challenges. So within the digital transformation side, we have advisors who can talk through businesses around adopting new digital technologies, things like covering online sales, adopting ways to do your business better, such as internal efficiencies, addressing cybersecurity issues, which are becoming more and more prevalent, and other digital operational issues that might be in the business. In terms of the technology side, we can help to identify technology solutions to an issue. So you might have a piece of manufacturing equipment and you might have a CAD design area, but those two aren't talking to each other. So we might be able to talk about some software that links all the parts of your business to make it run better. Finally, the customer-led design, we are providing advice and mentoring around how to pivot your business to become a high-performance, customer-centric organisation. So this really looks at design-led thinking methodologies to work out what does your customer want and how can your business adapt or improve so that you can provide better services and products to your customer. So that's a very quick run through As I said, everything that you need to find is on business.gov.au. I will head back over here and show you where to find the important information. So business.gov.au EP. All on this page, if you scroll down, you can click on the Strengthening Business for Bushfire Affected Communities. You have the Growth Roadmap, Accelerator, Supply Chains, the Research. Click through and you will be able to get in touch with an advisor or read the guidelines around applying for the program. Alternatively, if you wanted to contact your local Oz Industry Regional Manager, you can click up at the top, Expert and Advice. Say where you are. I'm in Queensland. I'd like some government grant information. And again, there's a whole lot of people that you can contact. So if you want to find me, I am under North Queensland. So that is in a nutshell, a lot of information provided very quickly. And I guess my call to action is there's lots of information and lots of people out there willing to help you. You just have to get in touch with us. So call the call centre, find someone locally, or visit the website. And that's it from me, Peter.
Okay, thanks, Renee. Now, if someone's looking for a advisor then on the commercialisation program, they do that same thing. They go onto the website, and they don't have to ring an Oz Industry office to get the details. They can.
No, the information will be available on the website. However, we are here to help businesses. So if you want to contact an Oz Industry office, that's our job, is to help connect you with the commercialisation advisors, and we can certainly facilitate that. We have had a few start in the last few weeks and a few yet to commence in the next few weeks. Be patient with us as this happens, and we've moved to having more staff on board. But in the meantime, look on the website or contact your Oz Industry office and we can connect you. Now,
some of these advisors in commercialisation have got specialist skills. Are they displayed on the website as well? If someone's looking for someone that's a scientist or something like that?
Oh, good.
Short answer is no. Our job is to connect businesses with these specialist advisors.
Okay, righto. And the Strengthen program you mentioned, and I never knew that was there, to be honest, and Kevin's down in that bushfire area. So what sort of services are they providing to those people in Victoria and New South Wales that were caught up in the bushfires?
Yeah, sure. So it's mainly a mentoring and advisory service. Okay. Meeting with businesses, working out a plan to go forward, connecting them in with any funding that might be available. So I know there is different funding in the States on offer. So essentially hand-holding them on a pathway forward through this process. I'm assuming they'll be running events in the short term as well, but I'm not sure how much COVID is stopping that right now.
Okay. Kevin, have you heard anything about that down there?
No, not at all, Peter, but then again, I haven't been looking for it either. So,
okay, righto.
Yeah, I've been tied up with other things.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't know whether you'd come across them. Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Renee. Obviously, Oz Industry has got a wide footprint all over Australia. Yep. As you know, I was involved in the program for 11 years in an old program called Comet, and it's a great service. And, we're talking today to small businesses and medium-sized enterprises and some accountants and bookkeepers. So this service is there. A lot of it's free that you can access, and I hope that people are using it. So thank you very much for your input. And
my pleasure.
if we get anyone that's got some subsequent questions, we'll definitely pass them on to you. So thank you. Thank you. So we'll just take you back now, if we can. Just shift our things. I now want to introduce you to Kevin Thiel. Kevin's an accountant, but is an accountant who's specialised in management accounting, and he's going to tell you more about that. And he's going to explain what management accountancy can do for your business. So for you small business operators, this is not tax-driven information that Kevin's going to be talking to you about. He's going to be talking about how you can really get information which will help you better manage your business. So good afternoon, Kevin, and I'll just pass this across to you.
Okay, thanks, Peter. I'll just hope I get this right. Here we go. It looks like it's all good.
Yes, you were quite good before. Yeah, you're away, mate.
Okay. Right. What can management accounting do for you? Well, it can tell you about how your business is going right down to the last nut and bolt. If you really want to go down that far, that's what it can do. Okay, so we'll just get started there. I'll just move this out of the way. There are two basic types of accounting, financial and management accounting, with some overlap between the two. Cost accounting is involved as well, but that's a separate discipline, but it's generally included under management accounting. Now, most of you know about financial accounting. It's the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet that comes with your tax return that your accountant does for you every year. But what use is it for analysing your business? Not much, really, because typically it's prepared for the business as a whole and also for a past period. So it's more designed for the tax office, the shareholders, other stakeholders, etc. And it must strictly comply with relevant legislation like the Tax Act and Superannuation Act, Companies Act, that sort of thing, and accounting standards. Whereas management accounting is not regulated by any legislation, and its sole purpose is to assist management to find those areas that need attention. And it's also based on to try and improve the efficiency of the business. And there are many, many ways that you can do that. Now your public accountant is mostly a financial accountant, and he doesn't do too much. Most of them don't do much management accounting. And there's a good reason for that. It's because with all the legislation and everything, they're spending all their time dotting I's and crossing T's. And they also have multiple clients. So they really can't afford the time to do any of it. But the best way for you to start learning how to do it is to just look at your accounting package. If you've particularly if you've got inventory activated on it, just go into your reporting side and play around. Spend an afternoon or a night or something like that, playing around with all the reports available and all the options. And you'll soon see that you can actually get information right back to as far as your data is being collected on just about any product and your labour, all that sort of thing, anything that's been collected. And it's all about setting up your accounting system and correctly for it, and then going to your reporting and looking at those reports where you're going to get the most information from. So typically some of the things that you'd be looking at would be information like how are we going now as opposed to last month or last year. It's performance measurement. So we can do that quite simply with by tailoring the reports on the accounting software. And we also need to know which products or services are making money and which aren't. That's a very important thing to know. It's a disaster to keep continuing supplying a product or a service that you're not making any money out of. It's soon going to drag you down. How much does it cost to make a particular product or a service? And if so, can we compete with the marketplace? Is our technology up to the rest of the industry? All these things need to be addressed. And the other part is how much should I charge for a product or a service? Bearing in mind such factors that if you want to charge a cheaper price, that may be perceived that the quality is not as good. Whereas if you charge a premium price, people might see that you might see that as something that you are producing a better product, and they will pay you accordingly. And there's all those factors need to be researched into it. The other thing, particularly that management accounting focuses on a lot, is your cash flow. And there's a relationship between the inventory levels, your cash flow and your purchasing, because if you purchase too much, you're going to tie up all that money in inventory. And if you can't use it immediately, that's money that you have to finance that you can't get back for, say, a few weeks or a few months. So it's important that you get your purchasing set up correctly, and only that you need to purchase what you can use in the short term, because the whole point of the cash flow cycle is moving it quickly, when they pay the money out and getting it back in as soon as you can, so that you can start the process again. That's the whole key. And management accounting is one thing where you can analyse this right down to the absolute detail, and the more that you can speed up the process, the better off you're at. But if you don't have the information at your fingertips, you're going to find it very difficult. And other things that management accounting does is you can calculate your break-even point. That's the point where all your expenses is the same as your revenue. So that's and from then on, it should be a profit situation. So it's important to know all this sort of information. And budgeting, one of the main focuses is the future. And so you do that by budgeting and forecasting, and you can go based on previous information, you can use that, and you can then add that into your accounting system. And so when you do a report, you have the budgeted amount plus what the actual cost is. And by doing that, you can highlight where you've gone over budget. It's a pretty basic report used by just about every person. And the other thing with a budget is that you can use it as a tool. You can virtually make it like your business plan expressed in dollars. And you can use that as a motivational technique as well, if you want to get into it that way. Other things is evaluation of long-term projects, like would you invest in cars to buy them or lease them? And that applies to any products as well. And you work out what sort of cash flows you might expect to get from doing that. And the other thing you can do is, why would I do that at all? Do I need to would I continue in this line of business, or could I use that money somewhere else, which is going to give me an even better return? These are all the things that you need to do. It involves lots of research. You need to know your market, all sorts of things. And the accountant, also the other thing to remember is that it's not just dollars that the cost the management accountant uses. We also use other things like quantities, sort of like labour hours and materials expressed in, say, kilograms, tons, or whatever like that. It's all necessary information needed to project what has been happening. There's an example here of your typical basic accounting report, where you have the budget, the actual, and the variance. That's generally how it's all expressed. This is a standard routine report that's done by just about every accountant in every business. And but you can go down into a whole lot more detail, and if you wish to. And but with these days, with the modern accounting software, you can do that yourself quite easily. You don't need to get your accountant to do it. You can also, probably a better way of doing it is to, rather than having tables like that, is to express it as a graph. Then you can do all sorts of things with graphs, and you can, with a graph, you can work out trends, whether you're going up or down or whatever. And this is just a couple of examples of the sort of graphs that you can do. You can do them through some of your accounting software will do this for you, but otherwise it's all quite easily done in something like Excel. And it depends. You find a report that you find is the most readable for you. And that doesn't take all that long to work out, and then you can produce that information automatically every month, say. And a lot of people work like this. Now, the other thing, costing is, there's two types of costing: job costing, which everyone should be familiar with. That's used for accumulating costs for a particular task. For example, getting a plumber in, getting your tax done, solicitor's fees. Contracts are just large jobs, that's all, so same thing. Most accounting software includes all that, and you can put that in when you're actually billing somebody out. You can do, you just accumulate all the jobs and then you bill them out. Now, generally, what you do with the labour, you include the overheads in that as well, just for the billing purchase, but the billing process rather. There is another type of costing which is called process costing, but that's more for businesses that make the same product 24/7, and it's a much more complicated process, and so we won't go on other than just to mention that. Now, what we need to do is to work out the costs that can be applied directly to the materials and the labour, to the product, like materials and labour, and then we have the indirect costs, which are things that are needed to keep the business going, like rent and electricity, offices, management, etc., like that. And then we have to allocate them across to each product. It's a fairly complex process, and I won't go into it today because it would be probably quite boring, and even more boring than this. But there is a big thing to do, and we also break the cost down after we've done the direct and indirect. We also break it down into variable and fixed costs, and fixed costs are those that no matter how much you produce, it's not going to make any difference, and variable costs are those costs that increase with your production. I won't go any further into that. The break-even analysis, which I did mention a bit earlier, is where your costs equal your income, and you can graph that all, and there's also formulas which are the basis for the graph. That's broken down here as well. That's another fairly important thing that a lot of people use. The cash flow, as I mentioned earlier, is extremely important, and what's more important, cash flow or profit? Well, it's cash flow every time. It's because if you can't pay your bills, you go broke. It doesn't matter whether you're got a completely high-tech robotic company or you're just a local electrician or plumber or something like that. If you can't pay your bills, you're gone. It's quite simple. So all the major focus has to be spent more on cash flow, and management accounting is where you really get to get this all focused, and you can improve things dramatically. Some of the examples, as I mentioned, when ordering, only order what you need for production and for maintaining minimal inventory to keep the production flowing. And to know your lead times, that's critical. Your lead time is the time between placing the order and when you receive the goods. And of course, if you don't know what the lead times is, you're in trouble, because you can have production halted for the simple sake of one product not being available at the time, and that can have a dramatic effect. So you can understand now why management accounting and purchasing are so related, because you need to keep production going at all costs. You've got to get the saleable goods out the door quickly. First of all, you need to have them manufactured. You get them out the door as quick as you can and sold. And the trick is to bill immediately, and don't use the 30-day cycle if you can avoid it. Take payments on the spot, particularly if you're a tradie or small supplier, because you can just have an attachment to your phone. You just swipe the card and it's done. Well, it's all paid and it's in your bank. Avoid extending credit, and be firm in your debt collection and make that a priority. It is important. You're probably better off, if you don't like doing that sort of work, you're better off having someone who does, can do the follow-up work needed, and also has a manner which is not offensive, so that people will pay you. But the important thing is that you are consistent in following them up, because if you only do it once every 2 or 3 weeks, they'll just let it go. So you've got to be enough, just know enough to keep people on their toes and keep your customers on their toes with payments. You have to be aware of your debtors days outstanding, which is that's the average of the time it takes to get your bills paid. And by turning your cash around fast, you have a much better chance of paying your creditors on time, which is very important to maintain good relationships with your creditors. It's critical, actually. Now, budgeting. Budgeting is very important for the future of your business. As I said, it's a bit like it's just your business plan quantified, expressed in dollars. Now, there's various approaches to budgeting. When I was younger, it used to be you take last year's figures and increase it by a percentage. But more recently now, they've gone to what they call zero-based budgeting, is that you look at each budget each year, which basically, and you want to see which direction you're going to go, and you work it all out each year. You spend a bit of time doing it, and then you just, excuse me, once you've finished doing that, you then apply the figures into your accounting system so that they will automatically just be compared with the actual expenditure. This way, you're going to find out the areas very quickly as to where the areas where you're not performing or where you could do a whole lot better, and whether you're meeting sales targets or whatever, things like that. So it's important that you do that. Now, there's a lot of great resources on the ESS Small Business website, which is just esssmallbusiness.com.au, and which is designed specifically for small business. And it has a sister website called ESS BIZTOOLS, which is pretty much for accountants. But you'll find there's a lot of complementary information on both sites, and they both had some fantastic resources there. And I think you would be well advised to spend a bit of time browsing those websites. And there's a lot of material there, both free and paid. And now you can purchase a lot of the stuff by subscribing, or you can just purchase it outright. So, but anyway, it's all explained on the website. And I think possibly that finishes me up for today. I haven't gone into too much detail because it's a huge field, management accounting, and it's very, very detailed. And but it's well worth if you want to grow and scale your business, you really need to get a handle on it and go down and get to know your business down to the last nut and bolt. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. That was very interesting. Incidentally, if anyone's wanting to go onto that ESS Small Business website, the the web address is www.esssmallbusiness.com.au, and just insert that code and you'll get that 20% discount that Kevin's slide refers to. Renee, have you got any comments or questions on what Kevin had to say on management accounting?
No, I think Kevin has certainly covered it all. But yeah, totally agree. Cash is king, and you need to keep watching cash, particularly during some more difficult times that we've been through. Yes.
Kevin, I just got a couple of issues that I just would invite you to probably even make a bit more comment on. You made early in your presentation, you talked about charge out rates. I think this is a very important area. I've just had an external consultant complete a review of the products that we produce at ESS BIZTOOLS, and a number of the accountants that they spoke to really rated our charge out rate product package as the most important thing within our products, which probably surprised me a little bit, but the more I thought about it, I can understand why. And you've just referred to it also. I think one of the problems is some people set an income target. They say $1 million or $2 million without any real justification, due diligence as to how they're going to generate that revenue figure. And if they're in a trade business or a manufacturing business, they've got that real mixture, haven't they? They've got employees, they've got productivity figures, they've got what is their charge out rate? What are they doing on materials that they're buying for a customer? Are they marking them up? What's their overhead budget? And how does all that fit together? Now, we've developed a product within ESS BIZTOOLS that allows people to check that. But do you think people should be doing more of that, making sure that what they're putting in as their charge out rates will achieve their projected income and therefore their profitability figure?
Yeah, I do. And I didn't read it out, but it was on the slide. And
yeah, I must have read it. Yeah.
And I did say that I'd do that in the next presentation, which will be 22nd of August.
Oh, that's right.
Slotted for.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I will make that a priority, and I'll do that explaining it with graphs and whatever as much as I can into some detail. But basically, I'll set it up so that it could be understood by non-accountants as much as possible. But it's an extremely important area, extremely.
Yes, because people, the productivity of the team drops by 5%. That's going to have a significant bearing on your profitability at the end of the year, isn't it?
Oh,
especially
yeah,
if you've got half a dozen guys working for you or ladies working for you.
That's exactly right. It's that's why management accounting is just so critical, and that's why every larger business has usually got at least one, and the larger businesses and government have got teams.
Oh yeah, it's the most important area, really. I was in the meat industry for, as you know, as the chief financial officer, and it was the costing side of things, as we called it. We didn't call it management accounting in those days.
That's
we called
right.
it costing. Yeah. Was a vital section. Had demands coming in from management nearly on the hour to do a new costing exercise on something.
Yeah, that's true.
And
been there, done that. Yep.
There were a few rows at times, but anyhow, that goes with it. Management always want to do things different at times, don't they? But
yeah, they do. Yep.
The other area you mentioned invoicing, and I was very pleased to hear you talk about invoicing because, as Renee just said, cash flow is important. I think everyone should be putting the due date for payment on their tax invoices. What do you instead of just sending them out? I get invoices there and there's no due date for payment on them. Well, if they don't want to get paid for 60 days, they won't. But what do you think of that, Kev?
Yeah, I do. I've always been, well, probably for more than 20 years, I'd say, I've always been a great believer in getting the invoice out as soon as you possibly can, and minimising the and trying to get people to pay on the spot if possible.
Yeah.
Particularly for someone like tradies and that are doing a job. I would set it up so that they're billing on the spot and give the person the invoice. You can either email it, or you can, if you have a printer in your vehicle or whatever, the portable printers, you can do it that way. And then just take the money as soon as possible, and then you can issue a receipt at the same time. So by email seems to be the best way, but the quickest way. But yeah, it's very definitely it's critical to get that cash in. And the old-fashioned way that we sort of did, but when we were starting off in the business and for quite a long time, was the old 30 days and the statements, and which meant that if you bought something on the 1st of April, say, it wasn't really due for payment until the 31st of May. Well, that's 2 months. It can be up to 2 months.
And send you broke offering terms like that, can't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. And either that, or you got to finance it somehow, which is you got to pay interest on that anyway. So yeah, just get the turnover as quick as possible. And in today's technological era, you can certainly do that easily. And the other thing I meant to mention is, which I had forgotten to do, was to use your mobile. You can use your mobile for so many things, and particularly with the accounting software, you can have your office staff send you to the bills for approval, and all sorts of things, so that it'll keep you out of the office. You're not being bound to stay in the office. You can get out and you can do your job, promoting your business or quoting or whatever you're doing. And you can do that and have all the day-to-day stuff just sent through to your mobile, and you can authorize it and on the fly, and it relieves you, excuse me, it relieves you from being office bound.
That's right.
And that's something I try to promote as much as possible, is to use your mobile, and other things too. On the courses on my website, I'm also doing that as well, to use your mobile more, like just even using the commands, the voice commands. It makes a huge difference in time. And but anyway, that's there are easy ways to do things, and it's all about time. In the long run, it all boils down to time. And,
That's right.
yeah,
Okay, well, thanks very much, Kevin. And anyone that's watching this, if you want more information on the management accounting approach that Kevin's referring to, you can contact him at kevin@workingbetter.online and have a discussion, and he can offer a package to you. I just want to now just go back and we will continue on. And I'm going to give you now a COVID-19 news update. We've got a few things to talk about today. It had dried up a little bit last week, but JobKeeper extension, the Prime Minister announced some changes that are going to apply from the 28th of September yesterday. There's going to be 2 tiers for people who were working less than 20 hours per week at the 1st of March 2020. They're tier 1, and people, it's more or less, sorry, of 20 hours at the 1st of March, and they're divided. So tier 1, the payment for eligible businesses is going to be $1,200 per fortnight until the 3rd of January 21. And then it's going to reduce to $1,000 per fortnight to the 28th of March, which is where the extension finishes. And tier 2, the payments are $750 per fortnight through to the 3rd of January, and $650 per fortnight for that last 3 months up to the 28th of March. Now, this is all geared to qualifying employees as at the 1st of March. The other change, though, that the government's introducing is that you have to have suffered a 30% turnover reduction. This is for turnovers up to $1 billion. It's 50% for over that figure. You've had to have a turnover reduction in the June 2020 quarter as compared to that June quarter in 2019. So you can calculate that now and see whether you are going to be able to access any JobKeeper payments beyond the 28th of September. But you also need to be able to show that you have had a 30% reduction in the current quarter, which runs through to the end of September when compared to that September quarter in 2019. And for the calculations beyond the 3rd of January, you then have to qualify in 3 quarters, because the December quarter is included as well. So the government is definitely trying to taper this program down. The country can't afford to keep on paying out these sums of money forever, obviously. And I think businesses generally are very appreciative of the support that those who have had to claim on this have got from this program. The other change that the Prime Minister announced on Monday was that the coronavirus SME guarantee loans will be upgraded and extended after the 28th of September. So they continue in their current format, which is $250,000 loans for 3 years on a 50% security from the Commonwealth Government. That continues until the end of September. And then we've got the new scheme, which is loans of up to $1 million, which will have a 50% guarantee from the federal government. They're going to be available for you to negotiate with your bank or financial institution until the 30th of June next year, 2021. The term is been extended. It's up to 5 years. It's at low interest rates. The current loans have been lent at around 4.5%, I understand. But there is no 6-month interest holiday. That possibility was available for a business under the current arrangement, but that's not going to be built into these. And the current loans of up to $250,000 can only be used for working capital purposes, whereas the new scheme operating from 28th of September, you can use that $1 million for any purpose. You just got to justify that to your bank, because that's who's going to be lending it to you. But to get hold of this money, you're going to need budgets, cash flow forecasts, and business plans. So start talking to your accountants soon, because if you want to try to draw down this new facility in loans, you'll need all that ready to talk to your bank about. So looking at an action plan for small businesses and medium-sized enterprises, obviously the COVID-19 crisis is continuing. There's some very unsettling news coming out of Victoria. I hope they can control it and not have it spread throughout Australia, but that's becoming a huge task now. But we've got some certainty now about the federal government's program. So talk to your accountant about planning your strategies. I've been saying for weeks that 2020-21 is going to be a different year to what most people have ever experienced previously, and that is definitely on the cards. Your accountants are going to be getting involved in ongoing calculations for you to see whether you still qualify as JobKeeper. You can talk to your accountant, obviously, and you'll need to if you want to make an application for one of these loans. There's still plenty of money in that original pool that was made available by the Reserve Bank and the government. It was $105 billion, and I read the other day that only 1.3 billion's been lent at this stage. You might also be eligible for some of those government grants that Renee talked about today. So don't forget them, they're there. It's a great service. There's 130 frontline team members, or 140 delivery people that Renee just told us about all around Australia. Contact them, have a cup of coffee, have a discussion. Make that as part of your action plan. And management accounting, I think, is vital. And Kevin's given you a great introduction to that. Big businesses use it all the time. And if you're a manufacturer, a tradie, even retail businesses all need some aspect of management accounting systems introduced. Now, a lot of accountants are talking about offering chief financial officer services. That will incorporate part of management accounting. But if you really need a specialist, Kevin Thiel is a great guy to have a conversation with as to how that can be set up. And these days, of course, with the technology, with Zoom, doesn't matter where you're situated in Australia, consultants can talk to you. So if you want to apply for one of these coronavirus guarantee loans, my warning there is the bank will want your financial accounts and your tax returns for the year just ended. So you need to get that information into your accountants promptly if you're going to have it back in time to be making an application early in September. So have a conversation with your accountant. If you get a response from your accountant that they're too busy doing tax returns, they haven't got time to look at some of this stuff, you can contact me and I will put you on to one of our subscribers around Australia, accounting firms. We'll put you on to a few of them actually, then you can select who you want to talk to. And they can offer these types of services to you because that's what they're gearing up in their accountancy firms to do. And my contact phone number is there, 1-800-232-0088, or send me an email. So ESS Small Business is here to assist SMEs. Kevin gave you a bit of an overview of that when we was talking before. We've got a whole range of product packages, and they're just listed there. So why not visit us? You can go to esssmallbusiness.com.au and view that range of services. Our next webinar on COVID-19, which we're running through to the end of September, is on next Wednesday, 29th of July at 12 noon AEST. Our presenters next week are Jordan Lowry, who's the Managing Director of Blackstone Business Group, and his presentation is going to be on human resources and workplace health and safety issues. And Jordan's already been with us a couple of times in this series of webinars talking about some of the real management, workplace health and safety, human resources issues that he's been involved in with employers and employees as part of this COVID-19 coronavirus ongoing problems. And I would suggest that anyone running businesses should be listening to some of the stories that Jordan will share with you. And I'll be doing a presentation as to what you as a business operator can be talking to your accountant about to get them to offer a wider range of services. Now, we're calling it Chief Financial Officer Services. It might be management, accounting. Accountants can do a lot more work for you than the preparation of an income tax return and an annual set of accounts. That's important. You've got to do those things, but there's a lot more work can be done which will help add value to your business. And that is very important. And that's what Kevin was referring to today. And that also incorporates having a knowledge of grants or where to find out about grants that Renee was referring to, because your accountant should be a key project manager for you on these sorts of systems and grants that are available to help you run your business better. If you want to go to that webinar, please go to www.esssmallbusiness.com.au/webinars and you can register, and it's free. So for more information, you can contact us or go to our website and have a good look, or telephone us or send us an email. So stay safe. Think about your strategies and funding requirements for 2020-21 now. Renee, have you got anything else that you want to say to anyone?
No, I think that's it from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for your presentation today. And I hope people watching this now or viewing it in their own time over the next couple of days really do appreciate that through Oz Industry, there is a whole range of government grant programs and support programs that can assist people in business. Kevin, have you got anything else you want to say from?
No, I'm clear, Peter. It's I think I've covered the basics of management accounting today, but the next one I'll go into a bit more detail, particularly about how to calculate your labour charge.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So thank you, Renee and Kevin. Thank you, everyone that's watching our video. Thank you for being with us today. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. And goodbye, Kevin. We'll see you later, right?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Bye, Renee.
Bye, Renee.
I noticed my right ear's been disappearing at least on my thing. So that live background doesn't work too well, I don't think.
Yeah, you can have a bit of problems with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Have a great day.
Using it again. All right. Catch you later.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.